Thanks so much for joining us here in the Fox 4 Weather Center. As we speak, a cold front is currently moving through central Florida and approaching the I-4 corridor. Ahead of it, some spotty sprinkles, but as of now, heavy rainfall not expected to impact any plans that you may have for this evening. Let's take a live look outside right now at always a beautiful spot here across southwest Florida. From the Tarpon Lodge here as we overlook Pine Island Sound, pretty overcast conditions from the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. Not expecting too great in terms of a sunset. It'll still be pretty, but just not quite as picture perfect if we had slightly fewer clouds in the mix. So bottom line, we'll stay overcast overnight tonight into the start of tomorrow, but then by tomorrow afternoon, that cooler, drier air will be filtering in, and you will certainly be getting a little bit more of a vitamin D dosage despite those temperatures on the cooler side. Now, with that front, it's all about that dew point, the measure of moisture in the air. Very dry air behind this system. Note those dew points. Pensacola, that's where that front cleared first, now down to 26. Tallahassee's dew point now down to 32. And this much drier air mass will be moving in here overnight tonight. That will set us up for a chillier start. So tomorrow morning, instead of waking up to lows in the 60s, we'll start off in the 50s with an even colder start on tap for your Sunday. As of now, Sunday expected to be the coldest morning going back to January 16th of last year, so technically more than a year ago. Looking ahead to the weekend, overall, it's going to be cooler, drier, so we do have that to look forward to. A bit breezy at times, especially on Sunday, and overall, it does look like those windy conditions will build in Sunday through Wednesday. So let's dive a bit deeper now into that cold snap that we can expect for your Sunday morning. Here's what we are up against. Morning lows starting off in the upper 30s in Arcadia, 40 degrees in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda, 43 for Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres and Fort Myers. Naples, Marco Island, Clewiston starting off around 44 degrees. Let's factor in that wind now. At this point, those winds will start to increase and that will cause it to feel more like the 30s for most of us here across southwest Florida. Again, this is Saturday night into Sunday morning. So it's going to be feeling more like 35 degrees for Arcadia and Port Charlotte. Punta Gorda dropping those wind chills into the mid-30s, feeling more like freezing in Palmdale. So regardless of where you are, very cold temperatures, especially when you factor in that breeze. So please take that into consideration. Otherwise, that front comes through overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, starting off in the 50s. Cloudy skies to kick off the day, clearing skies from the north to the south. A bit more sunshine on tap for your Saturday afternoon and evening. We'll stay clear overnight into your Sunday morning with thickening clouds for the morning time frame. But again, by 7 a.m., those breezy conditions will start to increase, which, as we just saw, will exacerbate just how cold it feels on your skin Sunday morning. So at least tomorrow morning won't be quite so cold. We'll start off in the mid-50s, cloudy skies, mid-60s for the afternoon, still running a bit cooler than average, staying below average through the weekend. Then Monday, cloudy, windy up to 71, back to the lower 80s Wednesday into Thursday, but it does look like we'll see another shot of some rainfall as we look ahead to your Wednesday. As of now, that will be our next opportunity for some accumulating rain.
Hospitals and our healthcare systems are becoming bigger targets for cyber criminals. They're getting hit more than 1,600 times a week. That's according to Checkpoint Research, a group that analyzes cyber attacks. I talked with one patient who's worried her information's now in the wrong hands after an incident that happened just last month.
I'm just going to be able to take off walking one of these days without any problems.
Linda Maupin is still recovering at home with her dogs from an ankle surgery a couple weeks back. She lives a 1.5 hour drive from her doctors at Liberty Hospital.
I'd rather go to a hospital where I have to drive a little ways to. Seems like the care is better.
To her, the quality of care has always been worth the longer drive.
I've always thought a great deal of that hospital.
Her surgery was supposed to be on December 21st, but her plans changed when she got a call the night before.
They said that they were having computer issues and it affected some of their equipment, and so they was not able to do the surgery.
Liberty Hospital took its computer network entirely offline and had to move some patients to other hospitals. The hospital postponed Linda's ankle surgery, an injury that lingered since childhood.
I was disappointed because I was ready to get my surgery over with and get it done.
Like Linda, we have questions too. The cybersecurity incident could be anything from a cyber attack, a virus, a ransom. We just don't know.
These types of incidents are patient safety issues as much as they are operational issues or cybersecurity issues.
Dr. Jeffrey Tully is the co-director of the Center for Healthcare Cybersecurity.
Connected technology has really come to be the bedrock of how we care for patients.
He understands this process on an even deeper level as a physician.
Unfortunately, one of the reasons that we may see an increasing number of these types of incidents is because they are successful.
Dr. Tully says the types of issues disrupt everything from hospital operations to patient care.
The delay in operations leads to loss of billing, loss of revenue. There's a loss of reputation that these hospitals experience.
And it's why he says these incidents toe the line between patient safety and hospital functionality.
So I think being transparent to the degree possible and being realistic with patients as to what type of care can be delivered safely is very important.
It weighs on my mind a little bit, wondering what really took place.
Linda's lifelong injury is finally addressed, but now it's concern of her personal information that lingers.
What's going to happen with that? Is it going to cause, the patient some serious trouble, like maybe financial?
If your doctor's office or hospital is hit in a cyber attack, you should do what you do in any data breach. You should keep an eye on your credit reports for anything unusual. You can even put a fraud alert on your accounts or freeze them. But you also need to pay attention to and follow up on any unusual medical bills and keep an eye on your HSA funds. Elise Schoenig, Scripps News.
Across the country this week, cities experienced extreme cold snaps that scientists say climate change plays a role in. But with all there is to be concerned about, each week we're taking time to highlight a few positive stories that impact Earth. First up, meet a group that's trying to protect between 10 and 15% of the world's bird species.
We prevent the extinction of species. Some of them have very low population sizes.
It's called the Jocotoco Foundation in Ecuador. How are they doing it? By buying up land and establishing reserves.
The buying part is not very difficult once you have the money. The difficult part is to manage those areas. What we are most worried is about the biodiversity loss crisis. It's even worse than climate change, I would say.
The group is working on conservation, preservation, restoration, and research. They have had some successes like breeding a parakeet species in the area, but they say more research is also needed.
So that we know what we're doing and what we're doing wrong and how we can improve.
How much more is there to learn about that area, the ecosystem? How much do we not know?
A lot. I would say we don't know maybe a quarter of what is out there.
To pay for it all, the group is doing some ecotourism, but also looking for donations and collaborations with other conservation groups. Let's head to Ireland now, where the government is considering a move to change the constitution and give nature protected status. It would be guaranteed the right to exist, to flourish, to be restored, as well as the right not to be polluted or harmed. Those rights would be similar to human rights, protecting trees, waterways, and more. It needs approval from both houses of parliament and the public to pass. If it does, Ireland would be the first country in the EU to enshrine nature rights in its constitution. And finally, back home in the U.S., coal consumption is coming down, the biggest drop among nations according to the International Energy Agency. It saw an annual decline of roughly 20%, accounting for about 3% of the world's consumption. It's fallen from about 2.8 million tons a day in 2008 to 1.1 million tons in 2023, according to the Institute for Energy, Economic, and Financial Analysis. Production has also dipped over the last several years to 145.6 million tons, according to the Energy Information Administration. Those are just a few of the stories that impact Earth.
It's called the silent killer with good reason. With people cranking up the heat, we have important reminders about carbon monoxide and why new homes may offer less protection.
Live from Fox 4, this is breaking news.
Thank you for joining us here on Fox 4 News at 5. I am Chris Earl. Breaking news tonight out of Charlotte County. Deputies say they are working a scene of a death investigation near Peachland Boulevard and Guild Street. That is the eastern part of Port Charlotte. It's about a mile north of Fawcett Avenue. Again, Peachland Boulevard and Guild Street. Here's what the scene looked like this afternoon. You can see deputies have an entire yard surrounding a house taped off. Our crew on scene here with Fox 4 saw numerous law enforcement officers on the property. Once again, this is Eastern Port Charlotte. We do have a crew still on scene. We'll bring you the latest information that we confirm on air and online. Fox4Now.com.
Southwest Florida may be paradise for many, but there's a growing number of people who life in this area means a life on the streets. I'm Fox 4 senior reporter Ryan Kruger, and every night this month in cities and towns across America, teams of volunteers are doing what's called the point-in-time count, trying to get an accurate representation of the number of people experiencing homelessness. Here locally, that count will take place next week, with Lee County's count starting on Monday and Collier's later in the week. Homelessness surged across the country last year, a 12% increase. Florida has the third highest homeless population in the country, behind just New York and California. But here locally, the problem outpaces both the national and statewide numbers. In Lee and Collier County, they saw the homeless population surge by nearly 50%. And experts believe the problem is only getting worse.
We're expecting that it will probably go up, but there's just so many people